Alright, so this will be a lesson on a Skip James song called Devil Got My Woman Blues. And to get this song going, you'll have to get your guitar into Crossnote tuning. And I think the last video, or the only other video that I've done with Crossnote tuning was a Buckaway video a while back. But basically Crossnote tuning, the only kind of difference about it is that rather than having a major third, you've got a minor third. So otherwise it's pretty much the exact same as open D tuning, except you'll just kind of lower that third to make it minor. So it's DADFAD. D-A-D-F-A-D. So once you get your guitar into that tuning, you'll be good to go. And as always, I'll kind of go through the song. It'll kind of be broken up into the intro, what he plays while he sings, and the outro. So I'll begin with the intro, and that goes as follows. Alright, so that's the intro, and the way it starts off is on the G string, walking up from the 2nd fret up to the 4th fret, and what he does is he goes like that, and then what you do is you pluck that 4th fret of the G string again, except you do it with the bottom E. Yeah, so Alright, so the way he starts that intro off is walking up from the 2nd fret to the 4th fret of the G string. And then right after that he plucks both that G string and 4th fret of the G string and the bottom E string. And plucks that 4th fret once more. And then what he does is he stays on that 4th fret of the G string, but then also plays the 3rd fret of the B string. So you have this double stop here. And kind of the way to go about it, the way he does it, is to almost play it just broken, just a bit broken. Not quite as a chord, but kind of broken. And then you hit that top E string. So you've got and you kind of stay on this particular double stop involving the top string and the B string. On the B string, also still hitting that top string open. Notice that I kind of hit that 3rd fret of the top string. And you walk down 1 fret again. This time I hit the 2nd fret of that E string. Now we'll go down to the bass strings, and what he does is he goes like that. So it's just an open D string, bend on the 3rd fret of the bottom E, and then the A string. And as you just heard, he'll kind of... Now, a lot of this a lot of the stuff that he plays in this song is really loose, yet quite intricate. You want to kind of have the delicate touch, while also kind of maintaining all the, you know, beautiful little guitar moves that he plays. So I think for me to get some of that sound, I found it really useful to use a lot of first finger sweeps. And that's exactly what I figured I'd do here. You could kind of do what you feel sounds best, but I found if I go the notes there are just on the B string, 0, 2, 3, and then I'm kind of mixing in some of the top E string by using that sweep. And then he'll hit some alternating bass lines here. And just so that we don't get too ahead of ourselves, we can just review what has happened so far. So we started off with this walk up the G string. And then going down the B string. One more. Sorry. Down to the bass notes. And then here we've got some of those sweeps. Those will just be with the bottom E string and the D string. And then you'll come up here. And what that essentially is just open B string, and the G and top E strings will be fretted on the 7th fret. You've got that. So again, that really kind of loose kind of sound. And as you can tell, I'm again using the sweeps. The extra notes there are just throwing in a 9th fret on the top E string. And then that little bend that you probably heard was on the 8th fret of the B string. You kind of just throw that in so it's no longer an open string. Alright, and then it's pretty much the same thing, except he'll add in the A string open. Sorry, let me try that again. Here's the bottom A. So, I'll play it a bit slower. You'll kind of just let that thing ring out, and again go back to this being 7th fret G, open B, 7 E. And it's not really until the bend that you play this time for a second time that you fret any note whatsoever on the B string. So to go back and from the beginning when he goes up, it'll be now that can be a bit complex to play just because you're trying to hit the notes right while also trying to capture that loose broken sound, but you don't want it to be so broken that you aren't actually playing the notes. So you've got to have this balance where you're comfortable enough, especially with this song I've found so far, you're comfortable enough with the notes, or to the point where you can kind of let it go and play it messy, if that makes any sense. So I'll do this thing one more time. Alright, and that's pretty much the intro. Make sure that you kind of go through these things slow, because especially with this song it can be pretty complicated. Alright, so now we'll move on to what he plays while he sings. So just coming out of that intro. Okay, so as you heard, there's really only two different sections to what he plays while he sings, and one of them is this first one that we'll go over. And here's the second part. Okay, and so beginning with that first part, what it basically is just going to be all on the 5. And the chord shape up here will be 4th fret of the G string, 3rd fret of the B string, 2nd fret of the top E string, when you actually involve the top note in this little sequence. So all the while you'll kind of be hitting a bass note on the A string. So as you can hear, it's really only on every 1 and 3. Alright, and the main notes on the treble side will be the double stop here, with the 3rd fret of the B string and the 4th fret of the G string. This top note, as I mentioned earlier, will only be involved whenever you kind of feel like throwing it in. If you want to throw it in all the time, then that's cool too. I like to kind of sometimes just, rather than throwing in this top E string, use the open B string and kind of toggle between that and that top E string. But between that little move, he'll throw in this little thing. And what that is just a hammer-on from the 2nd to the 4th fret of the D string, then playing the 2nd fret of the E string. Alright, so. Now to lead into that second thing that he plays while he sings, he'll kind of hit the 2nd fret of the B string, then the top note of the guitar, and leading back to the 1. Alright, so all together, sorry. Alright, I kind of got a bit too fancy and then messed up there, but I think you've got the gist of it. One thing that I often forget to do in this section is throw in this. So you've kind of got to keep that in mind. Alright, now so if we get into this next part, you can hear that it's got a really interesting rhythm that you'll definitely want to kind of investigate and work out. And it's really simple too, mostly open strings, and the only fretted note will be on the B string. And first it'll be on the 3rd fret, then you'll move down to the 2nd fret, and then back to the 3rd fret, back to the 2nd. Alright, and it'll be in alternating bass here. And on the treble side, it's just these notes that I mentioned before that you'll be fretting along with the top E string. So get that rhythm in your head. The more you can kind of delay those last two, I think the hipper it sounds like. Alright, and once you throw it in with the bass notes, it'll sound like this. When you're hitting those bass notes, especially with this song, just to kind of capture how dark it is, like make sure you really crash down with the thumb there. Not so much that it creates like too much of a thumpy sound, but just so that it has like a really dark way that it crests and decays. And I find, as you can tell, for me, I like to just kind of have a large, I don't know, motion hitting into the string. But also I'm kind of throwing in a bit of palm muting there to kind of facilitate how it decays. And also it kind of makes it for a nice little contrast between just the normal way that this octave is hit. Alright, so then you'll have this. But when you go through it the second time, meaning you go from the 3 to the 2 and back to the 3, that's what I mean by the second time. It's a bit different. If you listen when I play it here. When you're heading back into the 3 for the second time, you'll do a lot of toggling and end up in the open B string. And for me, this was kind of difficult to get under my fingers, and it's even like right now it's definitely still not under my fingers. But I think you get what I mean. Whatever way that you can make it work, just make it work. And whenever you kind of feel it, just add in a bit of that top note to throw in a bit of, it's almost like a bit of a smoke screen. It makes for a bit of dissonance when you're playing that treble part. And when you end up hitting that open B string, be sure to add in right along with it the open A string, so you get that. So it's a lot to think about, and this part for me was what I had to practice most out of the song. So just getting this. So once you get that going, you'll be good to go to start playing this, to finish it off with this riff, which is it's a beautiful little sliding lick that he plays. So the slide will be from the 2 to the 4 on the G string, and it's pretty aggressive. And then you finish it with the 3rd, or with a D string open. As you can tell, the way I like to play it is just, when finishing off, I kind of slide back a bit to just give it the I don't know, downward texture. But I mean, whatever you feel. You can do anything. This sounds a little more Lightning Hopkins. Let's kind of phrase it like that. Or you can do it more the way Skip would play it. Alright, so I think I played that thing about 1,000 times, so if you have trouble getting it, just rewind and all that stuff. For the most part though, those are pretty much the 2 moves. The way he'll kind of connect them together, he might do this. He'll do that first move that we talked about, then the second, then maybe go back to that first one. You know, just it's very loose, but I think what he does is he does the first move, the second move, and the first move. Sometimes when he starts out a new chorus, one second. Sometimes when he starts out a new chorus, he'll use this thing that we were playing earlier in the intro. For the most part, that's everything that he plays while he sings, and I'll get to the intro next, or outro next. Alright, so to go through that last bit, pretty much it starts with a little bass note on the A string, and then you'll kind of be walking up the B string, 0, 2, 4, and then you'll be hitting both of those E strings. Now here, on the treble side, you'll be hitting the 3rd fret of the E string, along with the open B string. Alright, so as you can see, opening and closing on that 2nd fret. And kind of throwing in that A string whenever you feel like. Okay, so far we've got alright, and now after hitting an open E string on the top, you'll be hitting a little double solve on the 2nd fret of the top E string, 4th fret of the B string. Again, kind of hitting the A string when desired. And after you return to the 1, he'll kind of hit the bass octave, or the root octave here on the open D string. Sorry. Alright. Now to finish it off, he'll go. So, to enter into that, it's kind of the same thing as how we started. So, A string, and then a bunch of open Bs, 2, 4, and then a few double stops here. First one being 3rd fret of the E, 4th fret of the G string. First open G and open E, then 3rd fret of the E, 4th fret of the G, then 2nd fret of both of those strings, and then back to open. And then a little thing on the 2nd fret of the B. So after that little thing, it's kind of an open A string with an open B string, then into the 2nd, and then a little sweep involving the top E string, 3rd fret of the B string, and open bottom E. Alright, so all together. Now again, there you might want to hit that a bit broken. That's the outro. And one little thing for the end, of the person who requested this song, they asked that I kind of show what Skip played in one of the 1960s revival videos of him playing this. And on that particular video, from about 0:29 to 0:35, he plays a particular riff that I'll show right now. That's how it goes. And it might be of interest to some of you who also just want to learn another little blues riff. The way it goes is, on the treble side you'll just be hammering into the 1st fret of the G string, and then plucking the B and E strings. Like a little jump blues kind of riff. But in this particular context, it'll be with an alternating bass on the bottom, and when you combine those two, so notice on the treble once again, you hit those two open strings twice, respectively. Once you're through with that, you'll hit the open A. And then you'll do a little sliding riff on the G string. Which will go from 2 to 4, back to 2, and then to the open D. And then you'll cycle through it again. So I believe that totally covers Devil Got My Woman, and yeah, hope you learned something new. It was a long video, so if you actually survived up till now, congratulations. See you next time. I think I'll maybe have a few more for you guys after this.